Shalom Israel first. I want to give all praise and glory and honor to Yahweh Bashim Shai Bashim Kakodash. I want to see Apostle Ezra Millstone. Peace and attention to one third of Israel. For this lesson, I want to title it New Management is Coming. All right, and really this lesson stems from Wisdom of Solomon, the 6th chapter. Because, I was reading this chapter earlier. And 3 through 5, really prompted this lesson. So hopefully, this lesson is edifying. But I'm going to start at the second verse. This is Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 2. It says, "Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest, who shall try your works and search out your counsels." All right, and key verse or key phrase right there is, "For power is given you of the Lord." So ultimately, the Lord is the one who is the one who sets up and ultimately takes down. All right, and we can get that. I forgot exactly how it's worded. I think it's okay. Well, this is a good one. But this is Daniel 4:17. The one I wanted was in Psalms. So it says, "This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men." All right, I'm reading NLT. Messing up, bro. NOT says, "For this has been decreed by the messengers. It is commanded by the holy ones, so that everyone may know that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world. He gives them to anyone who he chooses, even to the lowliest of people." All right, and who's the lowliest of people? Esau Edom, so-called white man. Because look at his kingdom. This shit is base as hell. It's defiled. It's wicked. The shit that goes on here, it's all backwards. All right, and the Lord, and it's all prophecy, because the Lord said he wanted this to happen. All right, just so the Lord can come back and destroy these devils. All right, and it was written from the beginning ultimately. Because Genesis, look at the birthright. Jacob and Esau. We live in Esau's kingdom right now. This is his world. His age, his eon. All right, but getting Second Ezra 6 and 9. Second Ezra 6 and 9, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, that we're going to eon age, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." All right, and Jacob is Israel. So the Israelites we got next. Beginning with Yahushua, King David, and the elect. All right, and in whom we hope to be. All right, because that's going to be the governing body of the kingdom to come. As the elect. But but ultimately, Salakia, I'm having a brain fart right now. But so that's what's coming down the pipe. We living in a transition of rulership right now. All right, and let's get that right quick. Sirach 10. Sirach 10 and actually, yeah, I'll start at the first verse because this whole thing fire. But this is Sirach 10 and 1. It says, "A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered." All right, a wise judge will instruct his people. All right, and look at the current rulership right now. Look at the current quote unquote judges, because they're not judges. All right, the real judges are Israelites. All right, and we gonna be ruling in righteousness. But it says a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As a judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. All right, and look at the current leaders of the society. They all weird, satanic, homo, PDF files. That drink blood. Like, bro, these motherfuckers is wicked. The basest of men, the lowliest of all men, and they're in rulership right now. But don't think the Lord is gonna let them, go over their appointed time, because as it reads in Job, it says, the Lord has basically put a bound on them that they cannot pass. If you paraphrasing. So ultimately, there's a nanosecond to where this man's kingdom is going to fall, and I believe July 4th this year is America's 250th year. All right, so Lord willing, shit turn up from here. All right, because past kingdoms, they only lasted around 250 years. I believe that was a Roman Empire. Let's get that real quick. How long did the Roman? And I believe you gotta get with the Western. Because Jake ruled 81 years. I believe it's the Greek. How long did the Greeks rule? Hold up, let me see something right quick. Boom, 250 years. You got Rome, 901 years. Byzantine, 504 years. Average. So basically, that's the average ultimately. Believe you calculate the average by adding them all together and then dividing it by the total number of empires. But reading it says, historians and sociologists frequently estimate the average lifespan of an empire to be about 250 years, or roughly 10 generations. However, this 250-year rule is highly debated, as many civilizations have lasted significantly longer or shorter, depending on how their beginnings and ends are defined. Well, ultimately, what did Yahweh say? The Lord, he gonna shorten the days. At least no flesh shall be saved. All right, you look at prophecy going on. The chip, the so-called, not so-called, but the MOTB, the microchip, that's in talks right now. Yahweh Shai gave us examples. He gave us basically the signs of the times that we were supposed to be, looking out for. And if you got eyes, you see that we live in those times. All right, so this place don't got another, however many years left here. This place is through. All right, this is, as Elder Apostle Tahar says, we count down months. Like, that's how close we are. Because all hell could break loose real soon. And Lord willing it does, because the sooner that happens, the sooner we get the fuck out of here. All right, and Lord willing, we probably we probably elect, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to serve the Lord, so that way, and in times to come, the Lord can spare us, pass over us. All right. Yeah, so that right there was a question. What's the average span of an empire? 250 years, and America's on its 250th year. All right, and a big example, or not example, but a big indicator that we at the end is that this truth is gone out. You know, you got people calling themselves Israelites. You know, Israelites is the talk of the town now. Back then, it wasn't. You know, because you have people talking about, you know, them scoffers and mockers, as it says in Timothy, in the last days. Not Timothy, Slack, Peter's. In the last days, there's become scoffers and mockers walking after their own lusts, saying, "Where is the promise of his coming? For since our fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they, you know, from the beginning of creation," roughly paraphrasing. All right. And, you know, they was talking shit because, oh, my grandma said this and the Lord ain't come back yet. All right. Now they think that nothing's going to happen. But things are happening right now, you know. I believe one of the bros, other bro, Tazabah, he made a video about, you know, famine is coming. You know, I'm watching that right now. I didn't get to finish it. But, you know, these things are happening, you know. I know Elder Kazaki Allah from GMS Mississippi, he made a video that came down my feed about the chip. You know, I believe China beat Elon Musk, you know, for that brain chip. So these things are speaking loud and clear. All right, and that's how you know we at the end. So to hell with, oh, you got another 5+ years and blah blah blah, which will forbid. But the way things are happening right now, you know, especially the whole oil crisis and Strait of Hormuz and all these things happening, war, like, bro, this shit can happen in, you know, weeks, months, you know. The Lord, you know, obviously that chip has to be mandated first. So the Lord ain't coming back tomorrow, but, you know, basically the Lord is coming back soon, all right? And he's going to take this devil's kingdom down and establish the kingdom of heaven, you know, the kingdom of Israel, you know. But Salaki for that ramble. But reading on down, it says, "An unwise king destroyed his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable." All right, and we're approaching that due time. All right, Esau's his end date, you know, because look what this devil's done. You know, he's done nothing but destroyed the world. All right, destroyed the people, you know. All right, but that's why we're going to get Revelation 11 and 18. All right, this is Revelation 11 and 18. It says, "And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth." All right, so ultimately, coming to the time of judgment, all right, and, you know, time of judgment and a time of rewarding for, you know, the Lord's elect, and a time of judging for, you know, the rest of these niggas out here, you know, but especially Esau, Edom, you know, because it says, "And destroy him which destroyed the earth." And who's in power right now? You know, Job 9:24, the wicked, Esau, Edom, and he's the reason why everything's messed up, you know. Right now I'm looking at clothes, and, you know, all mixed fabrics, you know, like everything's fucked up, you know. There's so many examples you can't even name it. All right, and there's things we don't even know about that this devil has done. All right, but the Lord knows, you know, what he's doing. That's why the Lord he this nigga up. All right, rightfully so. All right, but reading on down, it says, "In the hand of the Most High is the prosperity of man, and upon the person of the scribe shall he lay his honor. Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong, and do nothing at all by injurious practices." All right, pride is hateful before the Most High man, and by both doth one commit iniquity. All right, and Esau is filled with pride. All right, and the Lord hates he hates Esau. All right, scriptures tell you that twice. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. All right, and that's not talking about, no, that's literal. You know, the Lord hates Esau, Edom. All right, the people of my curse. I hate. But reading on down, it says, "Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another." All right, and ultimately, how did Esau, Edom, establish his kingdom? By all these things: unrighteous dealings, injuries, riches got by deceit. You know, look at this whole financial system. It's all a lie. You know, especially look what they're trying to, the whole data center thing. You know, they're trying to take your 401k and, you know, basically your money. All right, and you gonna pay for the shit. You gonna fund, these wicked devices. All right, but that's what did you expect? This is the fucking devil we dealing with. All right, but yet, when it starts affecting your pockets, now niggas want to start. Like, need to go to show you how stupid Jake is. All right, but it says, "Why is earth and ashes proud? There's not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. For such a one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casts away his bowels." All right, and what comes to mind is Habakkuk 2 or Habakkuk 5. Let's get that right. Or no, 2 and 5 is a lot. Habakkuk 2 and 5, it says, start at 4, it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith." All right, Esau's soul's not upright. This nigga, he's perverse. He's base. All right, it says, "Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he's a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlarge his desire is hell, and is as death, who cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heap unto him all people." All right, so that's Esau Edom right there. Nigga can't he I'm a conquer. Like, bro, sit your ass down. All right, but that's not in his nature. All right, but it's cool though, because when the Lord come back, you're not gonna conquer the Lord. All right, and when the Lord changes us, when he puts that power in us to be his battle axe and weapons of war, when we get changed, it's over for you Edomites. Because the only thing that made you quote unquote special, made you so strong, was a sword. Which the Lord blessed you with, and now the Lord is going to use that same sword to come back and destroy you with. The missiles, and the Lord also and the angels going to come back and destroy you. So the Lord going to overkill this bitch. All right. So, and that's all via prophecy. That's all through prophecy. All right. But let me go back to Wisdom of Solomon 6 chapter. It says, Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 4. It says, "Because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of the Most High." All right. And through that, you not following the Lord's, law, statutes, commandments, which, you have no heart to it. It's not for you. Look how things are moving. This place is living hell. Like, I was at the beach, earlier, and it just looked like shit. Which, the beach is beautiful, but Esau, like he just made the whole earth is mourning ultimately because the devil's in power. All right, but when the Israelites come back into power, the earth is going to, it's going to be joyful again. All right, but right now, we suffering the hand of the devil, and in due time, the Lord's going to, come back and set us up. Lord willing, we probably elect, but ultimately, all Israel is going to be good. All right. But reading on down, it says, "Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places." All right. And the Lord, let's get that right quick. The Lord got a special cake bake for you Edomites. Isaiah 63. Isaiah 63 and 1, it says, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, travailing in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save." All right, it's talking about Yahushua, and the dyed garments from Basra, talking about, representing the how much bloodshed the Lord's gonna, how much killing the Lord's gonna do, in here in Basra, it's modern day Basra, America, the house of the thief. All right, it says, "Wherefore thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. I have trod on the winepress alone, and of the people there is none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come." All right, so the Lord, and why would the Lord mention Esau and talk about day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come? Because this devil, look at this shit this nigga's done, He has a special cake bake, you know, from the Lord, you know, and it's on. The Lord is on his way. All right, because look how fast things are moving. Prophecy is moving. Esau's scared. He's in shambles because he can't save his kingdom. All right, he knows his kingdom is through. All right, but let me get Isaiah 66. There you go. Isaiah 66 and 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to run in his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by a sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." All right, that goes into backing up that wine press, the fat, the blood, all that. Talks about the judgment the Lord is gonna bring. All right, but it's you know, 2/3 niggas they gonna get it, but Esau Edom, y'all gonna get it too. All right, as well as you heathen nations. All right, controversy. Let's get that right quick. I believe it's Isaiah 34. There you go. Isaiah 34 and 8. It says, "For it is a day of the Lord's vengeance." Let me get the 5th verse. This whole chapter is good, as you see. But it says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down. It shall come down upon Idumea." Who's Idumea? Esau, Edom, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. All right. So ultimately, and what does it say in Proverbs? The wicked were created for the day of evil. So you Edomites gonna pay for this, bro. Beginning with you top wicked, wicked elites. All right, but it says, "The sword of the Lord is filled with blood, and it's made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord had a great sacrifice in Basra, all right, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea." All right, and that's here. That's going to be here in Babylon. This is all code, by the way. It says, "And unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and the dust made fat with fatness." It says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion." All right, and you can read in Joel too, how it talks about, the Lord is stirring up, World War III, judgment in the valley of Yehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat, as the scriptures say, or, let me just get it, because that's the Hebrew, Jehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat, Yahweh's judgment, basically for the touching of Zion, because these nations, they ain't innocent. Joel 3 and 1, it says, "For behold, in those days, and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them, pleading on to judge with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations in part of my land." All right, our land is parted right now. Israel is our land, and look what's going on there. You got two heathens fighting over our land. You got a whole homo parade going on. Like, you think the Lord is happy? Hell no. He's about to come back and wreak havoc on these niggas. All right. It says, "And they have cast lots for my people, and have
in
given
those
a boy
days,
for a
and in
harlot."
that time, when I shall bring again.
Bro. It says, "And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink." All right. And the whole then goes into the slave trade, and all these nations had partaken in our spoils, as it says in I believe it's Maccabees. There you go. 2:10. First Maccabees 2:10. This is First Maccabees 2:10. It says, I'll start at 9. It says, "Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy." What nation had not had a part in the kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All right, and that's a rhetorical question. Basically, all nations had to partake in our downfall. All right, so therefore, you nations, what does it say in Zechariah? Or I believe it's Zephaniah. Let me just get it. 8. It says, "For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye." So You other nations, you had to partake in our downfall. The Lord saw that, and now y'all gonna pay for it. All right. It's like you have a kid, and of course, your kid acting up and shit, right? So, you know, you actually now let me backtrack. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to butcher. Uh, so like I don't want to butcher an example. I'm not the best with it, analogies and examples. But you know what I'm trying to say. The Lord. I'm not trying to say this is what the Lord's saying. He that touched you touched the apple of his eye. Poke your eye right now. You gonna feel it. So the Lord, he felt that. He saw it and he's angry. All right. But let me go back and finish Wisdom of Solomon. I believe it's the fifth verse. Okay, yeah. Actually, I want to. There's a. Hold up, a lot. This I think. Golly, yeah, this study is so hard. It's a lot. There's another verse I wanted to get. I think it's the 24th verse. But this is it. I think it's the 24th verse. It says, 23. I'll start at 23. It says, "Neither will I go with consuming envy, for such a man shall have no fellowship with wisdom. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and a wise king is the upholding of the people." All right. Now, ultimately, when the elect come into power, that's going to be the upholding of the people. The whole world's going to rejoice. All right, because right now the whole world is mourning. Proverbs 22 and I believe it's 24. I believe. Let's get that. No, 14 and 22. Proverbs 14 and 22. I'm tripping. It's lucky. 29 and 2. Okay. Proverbs 29 and 2 says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bears rule, the people mourn." All right, so now everything right now is mourning because Esau, so-called white man, the wicked is bearing rule. But when the nation of Israel, beginning with the elect, come into power, it's going to be a righteous kingdom and everything's going to flourish. All right. So new management is coming soon. All right. Look at the times we in. This shit don't got long left. So, hey, hopefully this lesson was well said and edifying. Want to give all praise, glory, honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem outside, Ba'ashem Kakodash. Till next time, Shalom.